What if I told you that you had the ability to add some really amazing comics to your collection in the year or so ahead? More than likely, if you are a serious comic book collector or investor, that probably captured your attention. The big question will be whether you have the intestinal fortitude, the stick-to-itiveness, and the discipline to do what the vast majority of people won't actually do. You're going to have to go in a counterintuitive way to the way that most people are going to think. And if you're able to do that, if you have the discipline, you will have an opportunity to add some amazing comics to your collection. That is exactly what we're going to talk about in this video ahead. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. As I alluded to in that brief intro, we are going to spend some time talking about what is happening in the comic book market. If you are actually paying attention, you probably have noticed that the market has started to cool down. Despite the fact that there are record-breaking sales at Heritage and Comic Link for some of these mega keys, the prices of a lot of comics are starting to come down. And I did a quick spot check in Go Collect looking at books like Giant Size X-Men issue number 1, Hulk 181, Fantastic Four 52, Amazing Spider-Man 361, and Amazing Spider-Man 300. And essentially what I see is that at several different grades, the values of these comics are starting to drop. When you look at where they were a year ago versus 90 days from this point to the most recent 30 days, you can see a downward trend. And the reality is that this trend may actually continue. And I think that there are several factors that are contributing to what we are actually seeing in the market. And I'm not going to go into all of them, but I will focus on one in particular that I think is relevant for us to be aware of. This major factor that I'm talking about is inflation. And at present, inflation is at about 7%, which is higher than it has been since I think 1982 or something like that. And for those that don't know, inflation is basically where the value of the dollar has decreased. And the recognizable sign of this is that prices are actually going up. So when you look at things like energy and gas and shelter and food and cars, prices for those items are going up, which means that your dollar is essentially getting weaker. So a dollar is not necessarily $1, it is value less than that, which means that you need more dollars to buy the things that you could actually buy previously for a dollar. I hope that that made sense. I am not an economist, but I am doing the best that I can do here. But the reality is that inflation is getting high, which means that people are going to have to spend more money for the essentials in order to live. Food, water, gas, those types of things are going up. As a result of that, there could be aspects of the economy that will see prices go down. Luxury items, for example, things that are purchased using discretionary funds, using disposable funds, essentially what is left over after you pay for the basics of life. That essentially is where comics sit. Comics are a luxury. They are an item that you buy after the essentials are covered. And as a result of people having to pay more for the essentials, that means that there's going to be less money going to things like comics. And as a result of that, you're probably going to see comic book values continue to go down. And as a result of prices going down, that means that there are going to be buying opportunities for those of us that have the stick-to-itiveness, the determination, the discipline to pay attention to what is actually happening in the market and to take advantage of what is happening. And I don't mean that in a negative way in any way, shape, or form, but you have to be smart about this market. And this is, again, something that may resonate with collectors that have seen prices of comics increase year after year for like the last 2 years, or even investors for that matter that have seen books just skyrocket. All too often, we as collectors, investors, speculators want to buy books when prices are going up. But the opposite might be what we need to do. When prices are actually coming down, that could be when you buy. Why? Because most things in life are cyclical. There are periods of boom and bust, and prices will go down, yes. but the fan base is not eroding. What's eroding is the fan base's ability to afford giant-size X-Men #1. But what happens when inflation goes down? That means that prices of collectibles will potentially go up because there's more people with money to actually buy those things. So if you're disciplined, if you're smart, if you're prepared to act when prices are coming down, you could be rewarded. At what point? Maybe a year, maybe 2 years or so from now, when the economy starts to improve, those could be opportunities for those of us that have bought books when prices were going down to actually sell. Or it might just be an opportunity for you to get a book that you've always wanted in your collection when prices are more favorable to you as a buyer. And this is not wrong. This is what people actually do, but you have to be smart about it. You have to pay attention to the signs of what is actually happening. One of the challenges that we face is that prices have been going up for the last couple of years. And as a result of that, many of us have been taking advantage of that by selling books in our collection in order to buy the book that we really want. With prices coming down, that might actually create a little more of a challenge for us, but that does not mean that it's impossible. Just like you would do with your stock portfolio, you may want to take a look at the books that are in your collection and ask yourself some really tough questions around what it is that you really want to keep and what you might want to divest yourself of. Potentially, if you time it right, you can divest yourself of some books that you're really not committed to, that you're really not in love with, in order to get some funds, to hold those funds, to strike when the iron is hot, when a key that you really want for your collection or that you want to invest in has declined to a certain period. But you've got to act at the right time to make this other activity work. And I will tell you, I am actively going into my own collection and going through this very thing right now. My point here is that the market for comics is not going away. It's not going away. There are going to be fans of comics for hopefully as far as I can see. But like everything in life, there is a wax, there is a wane, and we might be in a waning period, but rest assured that the wax is right around the corner, and we don't know when that's going to be, but you can say that about so many different things in life. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and certainly if you are more versed in economics, I would definitely encourage you to leave your thoughts down in the comment section, because that way we can actually all learn from one another. And if you plan to take advantage of some of what I've presented in this video, I am honestly curious to hear what your thoughts are as well. So be certain to leave those behind. As always, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.